Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have a Shinsou X listener. If you're in the live chat, be respectful to the moderators, otherwise let's go ahead and get into it. Leaning his forehead against the cool glass of the window, Shinsou sighed in disappointment, shoulders drooping, loving arms wrapped around his waist from behind as he felt you sigh against his back, relaxing as you snuggled into him. "I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing?" you hummed, chest vibrating against his back. "You don't control the weather." Eyes shifting from the floor, Shinsou looked out the window again. The weather forecast had lied. What was supposed to be a sunny, beautiful day was the exact opposite. Rain coming down in driving sheets, and the sky black with water-heavy clouds. Definitely not optimal date weather. "I know you were really looking forward to this, that's all." When you had voiced your desire to get out of the house and go on a date, Shinsou had agreed, not because he actually wanted to leave the comfort of the home, but because of the way your eyes lit up, sparkling with happiness when he did. Peeking over his shoulder, he let out a resigned sigh. "Oh well, I guess we'll have to go on a date at another time." At that moment, Shinsou experienced a strange mix of disappointment and relief. Disappointment at the fact he hadn't been able to take his lovely partner out. Relief because it meant he didn't actually have to leave the warmth of your shared bed. Turning around, Shinsou wrapped his surprisingly muscular arms around your waist and lifted you up, your now blushing face above his as your body was pressed flush against him. "Hitoshi, I'm sorry, but thank God." Tipping over, he crashed onto the bed with you on top of him. The two of you bounced on the mattress for a minute before he continued. "I really wanted to take you out, but I didn't really want to go outside. Does that make sense?" "For you, yes." Giggling, you smiled down at him lovingly, reaching up to brush a few of the unruly purple hairs away from his face. Closing his eyes in pleasure, he purred under your touch, reveling in the feel of your fingers and his wild hair. "Should we have our own kind of date?" Half opening one eye, he regarded you curiously. "What do you mean?" "I'll be right back." Leaping up from the bed, you ran out of the room, leaving Shinsou to groan at the sudden loss of warmth, blankly staring up at the ceiling. He listened to the sounds of various cabinets being opened and closed and ceramic hitting the countertops. "Listener," he called unhappily, impatiently waiting for you to return to his arms. "What are you doing?" "You'll see." He heard you giggle, making him raise an eyebrow. When a few minutes had passed and you still hadn't come back, Shinsou's curiosity overcame his lethargy. Summoning a massive amount of effort, he rolled off the bed, shuffling to the kitchen with his hands shoved in the pockets of his pajama pants. Peeking around the corner, Shinsou watched you dance from one cabinet to another, gathering ingredients for he had no idea what. Outside, the rain came down harder, the sky near black, but you didn't seem to notice, humming cheerfully as you pulled out a coffee pot and started making your own special brew. Leaning up against the wall, Shinsou simply admired you, eyes studying the ways your toes curled up from the cold tile of the floor and how you swayed happily from foot to foot. Hands itching to touch his love, Shinsou patted over to you silently, arms reaching out to wrap around your waist, much like you had done to him a while before. Pulling you back into his chest, he felt you jump against him, surprised at the sudden contact. "What, Hitoshi?" you squeaked, but he wasn't listening, leaning down to bury his face in the crook of your neck. Breathing deeply, he savored your sweet scent, his hot breath making you shiver as it fanned across your sensitive skin. "You were taking too long to come back to me," he murmured, lips brushing your ears. "I was only gone for 5 minutes. You chuckled, relaxing into him. "Felt like 20 to me." Resting his head on your shoulder, Shinsou looked down at what you had been making, the delightful aroma of cinnamon coffee wafting up to him. "Are you done?" "Almost." Reaching to your left, you grabbed a container of whipped cream he hadn't noticed before. Not liking the overly sweet taste of store-bought whipped cream, this was something you had made yourself. More like European whipped cream. It wasn't nearly as sweet and a lot thicker. As he watched you spoon generous helpings onto the surface of the dark liquid, an idea popped into his mind. Hand darting out, Shinsou scooped some of the white fluff onto his finger and spread it across your cheek. "Hitoshi!" Turning his head, his tongue laughed across your face, making you yelp as he licked off the whipped cream. "Hitoshi, Yes, he said innocently, smirking proudly. Growling, you turned away, taking a sip of your coffee and making his cocky smile disappear. "Are you mad?" Shinsou's alarm grew as you shifted in his embrace, biting your lip, but a moment later his worry was replaced by surprise when a glob of whipped cream was shoved into his face, covering his nose. He blinked, wide-eyed, as you laughed at him and kissed his nose, licking your lips as the cream stuck to them. Winking, you smiled cheekily. "Cat got your tongue, Hitoshi?" "Very funny." Tilting your chin up, Shinsou pressed his lips to yours, one hand cupping your cheek while the other held your waist. Wrapping your arms around his neck, you smiled into the kiss, laughing when his hands moved to grip your sides, tickling you. Body pressing closer, he nipped at your lip gently, making you gasp. But before things could continue, a sudden bolt of lightning lit up the kitchen, immediately followed by a clap of thunder that made you both jump, clinging to each other wide-eyed. Hearts pounding, Shinsou looked down at you, his arms tightening in a protective hold. "Are you okay?" "Mm-hmm." You nodded. "It just surprised me." Uncurling your hands from where you had grabbed onto his t-shirt in alarm, you turned in his embrace to grab the cooling mugs, handing one to him. "Wanna head back to bed?" "Yep." Releasing you, he took a sip of the sweet drink and followed you back to the bedroom, sinking onto the bed before crossing his legs and pulling you into his lap. Your back to his chest, placing his head on top of yours. He felt you snuggle into him, sighing and sipping your coffee as the both of you watched the storm. Even though the outside world was in turmoil, thrashed by harsh wind and rain, you still brought him such peace and happiness. His own ray of sunshine when the rest of the world was darkened by storm clouds. Silence took hold as the two of you settled into a comfortable, loving moment. No words needed to convey how much you loved each other. So this is what you meant by your own kind of date. Your body pressed intimately against his. Shinsou decided he liked this much better than an actual date. As the minutes passed by in slow, tender silence, Shinsou felt your body loosen, eyes drifting shut in drowsiness. Taking the empty coffee mug from your hand before your grip failed, he set both cups onto the nightstand before leaning back, you in his arms. Your eyes opened briefly at the movement before closing again, a sigh leaving your lips as your hand loosely gripped his shirt and you cuddled into his chest. A moment later, your breathing evened out and even Shinsou knew you had fallen asleep. Reaching up, Shinsou tenderly stroked your cheek with his thumb, pushing stray, ticklish hairs away from your face. Placing a soft kiss to your temple, Shinsou sighed, his own body relaxing as he held you closer. With a whispered "I love you," his eyes closed, falling asleep at the sight of your peaceful face as the rain continued to pour. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. It was super cute. If you're in the live chat, thank the moderators. Otherwise, music link, fanfic link, Discord link, and thumbnail art link will all be in the description, so go check those out. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!